falls on my neighbors and friends. Some say it's a blessing, some say it's the end. I can't forget the times when we were so free. We've locked ourselves in and we've lost the key. A stranger's hand is now a weapon of war. The ocean has never been this still before. 'Cause we're hiding, we're in the way. Here comes the sunrise, the American way.
All right, welcome to podcast 258. I'm Russell Dowden with Blaze Magazine, Blaze Weekly News. Podcast 258 this week, as we will talk about this upcoming injunction and temporary restraining order hearing that the smokable hemp industry here in the Lone Star State is getting ready to get ready for. And here to talk about it is our dynamic duo, our buddies, dynamic duo, Dave Maguire and David Sergi, joining us here. Let's go to David first. And David, everybody wants to know this week, how will the judge rule tomorrow at 2 p.m.?
Well, first of all, to answer your question, nobody knows how the judge is going to rule. I think we are very, very, very confident. We've got a really great team of lawyers that have come together to put this lawsuit together. I think people have seen it. It's like, I think, 64 pages and total about 330 some odd pages. Amanda Taylor at Butler Snow has done a fantastic job. Jason Snell, who's going to be arguing it with us, also has done a great job. The entire team has come together. It's amazing to see all the different loud voices unifying, to see Americans for Healthy Alternatives, HIFA, all of the stakeholders coming together, setting aside their differences and fighting for Texas cannabis and hemp.
Yeah, it's been a lot of concern from the retail side of industry, people having to take things off the shelves. I've been a part of these groups, David, where you can see just, the concern between business owners and all of these, and industry members have, funded this lawsuit. Also, you guys have been working together with the plaintiffs. Jay, can you outline the fees and just the proposed fees and then the changes that we got on March 31st and how that was going to affect industry, just to recap?
So if you remember, Russell, the initial published proposed rules were $10,000 and $20,000 for retailers and the manufacturing license, respectively. And after 1,300 comments, including 45 pages of our own that we submitted, they reduced that to $5,000 for a retailer and $10,000 for a manufacturer or distributor. And so instead of 4,500% higher than the license, that the $150 license that they all had up until the other day, it's only, 2,200% more. But what it's not is anchored to any kind of reality for a program that this is going to run to regulate the industry, because it smothers the industry. This is an industry killing maneuver, which is one of the bases of this lawsuit.
Rachel, do you have anything? Yeah. Welcome to again, Rachel. I didn't introduce Rachel earlier, but Rachel also joining us from home this week. But can you do you have anything for David or Jay on the topic?
Well, I'm in Amarillo right now, and I'm seeing billboards on I-40 going to New Mexico advertising legal cannabis just 75 miles up the road. So for now, the money's going to a different state, and I think that's really unfortunate. But, personally, I know, we don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like we're going to have another win, and that's what my gut feeling says. I don't know about you guys, but just seeing how far the industry has moved and what the industry has accomplished so far, I think is a good, it gives me peace. I'm like, okay, I know that they're giving it their best. So
Yeah, how do you feel, David? We'll go to David, then Jay. The glass half full or half empty? How do you feel going into this tomorrow as our team prepared? You guys prepared the lawsuit with your colleagues.
Well, I feel like the glass is over half full right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm extremely confident, that we're going to do well tomorrow. I was amused by the court when the court administrator emailed back to the state when they said, "Ooh, we want to postpone this to Wednesday or Thursday," and the response was priceless. It was, "This could have been done ex parte. You are invited to attend."
Jay Maguire, how do you feel about it? Is the glass more than half full for you?
I'm nervous because there's a lot at stake here. The well-being and emotional and physical well-being of millions of Texans is at stake. The ability for them to access these products is at stake. The ability for a person to sell these products without becoming felonized and subject to arrest and prosecution, raids. All of that's what's riding on here. We've got 8,500 retailers, and every one of them had to make a decision about what to do with the inventory they had. We published an SOP to help them navigate that situation by quarantining the items, making it clear that they were not for sale, which is the thing that the state says you cannot do. You can possess, but not sell. But nevertheless, this was a really drastic and dirty overplaying of their hand and incredible overreach of government power that just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, that's really the main argument I see, David, is just the overstepping of the authority allowed in something like this. I saw on Jay's article that he posted on his blog last night. I think we got it to our website and shared it. PM. Do we know anything about the judge yet? Who's hearing that? I haven't heard anything on that, or did not read that in Jay's article. Has that been released?
Yeah, it's Judge Gambrell. She has been on the bench for many years.
Okay.
She's considered to be one of the finer judges we have in Travis County. She has been, I think, elected twice, if not more. I'm very pleased with her. I think she's a very fair jurist. I think that she is going to listen to all the arguments and do the right thing. But she's also no pushover. She is well respected for being independent, and I think she will be very responsive to the voters of Travis County.
Well, are the arguments, it's about the authority, right, Jay? I mean, about the overstepping. You alluded to that in your last segment, your last comment,
Sure.
that the agency's attempting. They've attempted to kind of implement SB3 all over again with higher fees and taking the flour from our fellow Texans. While it's behind everything. Everything's about what they are implementing, but really in the backside is kind of that overstepping authority that we've seen from that's supposed to be done on the legislative side, Jay.
Well, the legislature has the exclusive power to make law. Agencies take the law that the legislature passed because it becomes a statute, and they write rules to implement the statute. What this agency did was ignore the statute, which in House Bill 1325, that's the black letter of the law that we have in Texas. It says that hemp is determined to be a cannabis sativa plant with below 0.3% Delta 9 THC, and that is the only metric that they use. And they instead decided to also ignore the governor's executive order in which they were told, subsequent to the veto of SB3, to maintain the adult access market and keep these products out of the hands of kids. And instead, they destroyed the industry by doing a couple of things. They implemented a total THC standard, which is not what's in the statute. It's in their rule. The statute's the law. The rule is what they say until the judge tells them not to. And then they increase those fees to something so outrageously unrealistic that most of those 8,500 retailers will go close overnight. So that's called Oh boy,
illegal
I'm not going to use the Anglo-Saxon. I'll use the Latin. It's ultra vires, which means beyond their powers. The executive commissioner of HHSC, when she signed that rule, made it permanent, acted ultra vires, and that is unconstitutional and illegal and wrong, and they should knock it off because they keep doing it, and they keep losing. I just don't understand it, Russell.
I know David wants to get in here on this a little. Go ahead, David.
No, what I was going to say is that ultra vires is exactly the right term, and here we are supporting the governor. The governor did the right thing, and this is an end round around the governor. We agree with the governor that we shouldn't be selling to kids under 21. We're not objecting to that. There are other safety issues that we are not objecting to. But what we are objecting to is a redefinition of hemp, which they've tried before and hasn't worked. And we applaud the governor for what he has done. And we look forward to, and there's Dan Patrick being carded.
Well, and I'll let Rachel jump back in here with us anytime. Second, Rachel. But that's one of the things that I think some of my fellow retailers and my advertisers and I've had conversations in recent weeks asking, where's the governor in all of this? There's been no statement from Dan Patrick's office on this. And I guess I'm maybe just a little new, but this may be more for Jay, but either of you, any word from the Abbott's side as the ban for smokable flower came in on the 31st, just 11 days ago.
Yeah, you would think that he would make a statement after everything.
Any reason?
I'm going to interrupt here for a second. If you noticed in the veto period, the governor waited until the very last minute to make his move. He's a very smart politician. And I'm not going to speak for the governor, but I think that, when he made the veto, he made his thoughts clear. And we support just about everything that he asked for. And so that's and we are defending what the governor wanted.
Yeah, dishes is essentially trying to overturn the governor's veto. It makes no sense. But like David said, we do have pretext on our side. But I was reading Jay's story that's on the website, blazenews.com, and it gives a really detailed kind of background. I think a lot of people are searching for information about what exactly is happening. And so this is a really good recap of everything. And I really liked one part that I want to read a couple of the sentences here that talks about how Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick are so different. It says they're different creatures. Abbott is the cautious institutionalist, a former Texas Supreme Court justice who thinks in terms of legal sustainability, constitutional exposure, and long game political risk management. Patrick is the former radio talk show host and Tea Party insurgent who thinks in terms of political dominance, culture war momentum, and the next morning's headlines. So I just thought that was interesting to just show the contrast, and it's a really good story. So
yeah, shout out Jay Maguire on his Substack and that coming in on the website there this week. Both TexasHempReporter.com and BlazeNews.com carrying that news. David, do you have to be a member of HEFA or HBC for an injunction if it's given by the court to protect you?
Well, that's sort of the $64,000 question.
Right.
We think that if the rules are overturned, they're going to be overturned for everybody. It just doesn't make sense to me where we have trade associations that represent these larger groups of retailers that you'll have this, how can I put it, where you're going to have some of it apply to retailers who are members of a trade organization and others that aren't. At the same time, the trade organizations are the ones that have funded this. AHA, American Healthy Alternatives, the Harwin Union Council that basically represents most of Houston. They're the ones that have funded this, and not to mention HEFA and the people that have contributed to the Texas Business Council. And so there's an argument, if you're not a member of that, you shouldn't be covered. But I think the better argument is that these rules are ultra vires and shouldn't be implemented and should be stayed to everybody. But I can't see the business council saying, well, it shouldn't apply to you because you join us. I just don't.
We hope not. Let's take our first commercial break, guys. We're going to go to a break real quick, and we'll come back. Be back in 60 seconds. I'll continue the conversation with our dynamic duo, David Sergi and Jay Maguire, getting us all ready for this lawsuit as they've been preparing with industry members to get this thing going. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after a word from a sponsor, Blaze Weekly News. Be right back after this.
So sad that you gone down, giving yourself this life high. Yeah.
Fuel and Elevate is proud to power the Texas Hemp Show. Try our instant keto cream and sugar, nootropics, adaptogens, energy boosters with hemp D, 9-THC, and CBD. Fuel your body and elevate your mind. Euphoric sense of well-being, elevated mood, decreased stress and anxiety, increased and sustained energy, increased focus, enhanced physical performance, and deep restorative sleep. The perfect blend to fuel your day and elevate your mind. 15 grams protein grass-fed collagen, 4.4 grams nootropics, 5.2 grams energy boosters, 400 milligrams adaptogens, 5 milligrams THC, 2 milligrams CBD full spectrum hemp extract. Fuel and Elevate puts the good in your morning both day and night. Get 30% off your next order. Improve your mood, increase energy, decrease stress and anxiety while providing a euphoric sense of well-being and the added benefit of deep restorative sleep. Order today at fuelandelevate.com. That's fuelandelevate.com.
I don't want to set the world on fire. A flame in your heart.
Sergi and Associates specialize in cannabis and hemp law cases here in Texas. Has your store been raided? Do you require municipal litigation? Seeking to trademark your brand? David Sergi is an international cannabis lawyer, and he represents businesses throughout the cannabis industry. Sergi represents clients across the United States and is regularly quoted on cannabis matters in the media. The new website from his team is txhemplaw.com. If you're new to the Texas market and hemp or cannabis industry, look no further than Sergi and Associates. Their legal team offers a broad range of legal practices, providing cost-effective, top-shelf legal representation with a big firm punch in a personal, small firm environment, specializing in hemp, criminal, business structure law, and civil litigation. Texas hemp laws are always evolving. Call Sergi and Associates at 512-392-5010. That's 512-392-5010. Or visit txhemplaw.com.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Blaze Weekly News Podcast 258 this week on the show. As I turn the robot off, back with the dynamic duo, Jay Maguire and David Sergi, here this week on us. Again, both men have been busy working. Dynamic duo. All right, that's our new graphic. Thank you, Carl. Both men been busy working with industry members in writing up the lawsuit, gathering plaintiff testimonies, organizing steps with co-counsel for plaintiffs. How's it been the last few weeks, David? You guys been very busy.
It has been incredibly busy. We have been, as I said, working with a really great team of lawyers. We have been back and forth. We have been polishing this. it's really amazing when you get, my background was big firm in San Francisco, and it's always nice to work with another big firm and a group of big firms. And I'll also give a shout out to the other lawyers that filed cases before we filed it and have also done a great job and are working together and working with us now. So at the end of the day, yesterday after we filed it, I went home and went to sleep and didn't wake up until this morning. It's an amazing experience when you work on something this big and this important. And I'll also give a shout out to Jay Maguire. He's been behind the scenes working with us, providing us detail. I found it really amusing that one of your fraternity brothers is involved in representing another case, and that particular individual was, I believe, involved in the Citizens United case and has a lot of great political connections in D.C. I'll let you talk about that, Jay. It's just...
Well, I wasn't going to mention his name, but Dan Backer is my Zeta Psi brother. I've known him since he was a young fella out of college, working as a traveling consultant for the fraternity. Dan is responsible for bringing suit in 2 Supreme Court cases subsequent or around Citizens United that dismantled campaign finance reform. So basically, money is speech and corporations are people. And that's partly Dan's work. He's now the name partner of the firm that the attorney Navarre in Houston filed a week ago Friday. And I'm confident that we'll be able to work with them.
Well, very cool.
And then to be frank with you, the other lawyer that filed a suit is a tax lawyer that owns several stores in the Beaumont area. And he has been also really great to work with and gave me some interesting tax insight into how this case can also be litigated. So we've just got a great team of people, and I am so thrilled to be part of that.
David, you mentioned the time frame on the previous lawsuit for Sky Marketing on that case. So that can you speak to the comment you were just sharing with industry members this morning?
Well, I mean, how can I put it? The time frame is that we hopefully get this TRO, and don't forget, guys, in the original Hometown Hero case or Sky Marketing case, we didn't get a temporary restraining order. We had to go to a hearing to get a temporary injunction. And and actually in that case, if you recall, the state snuck in a redefinition of hemp, and I think it was Jay's good work and Andrea Steele's good work that found that particular notice that was non-text searchable PDF.
Yeah.
That's bringing back ancient history, but I think it's important.
Well, it's an Administrative Procedures Act violation, which is also the case in this suit. The industry was a lot smaller back then. It was a lot more nimble and easy to maneuver around. Now we've got all these companies that have to all have a learning curve and all have to have buy-in, and it takes some doing.
I know both of you must be exhausted because y'all are. I'm pretty friendly with Jay, a little more than and David, you're just busy. But Jay does contribute some editorial for us. But I have been very touch and go for about 2 or 3 weeks with Jay Maguire, which is unusual because he's been so busy. Yourself been very busy. Industry members really coming together. Is that fair to say, Jay? Do you feel like, and David, you can comment on this. I hope things are feeling cohesive and that we're in a good space here as an industry looking for this TRO.
I'm going to throw props out to Jay and help because of the work he's done in Houston to get the Harwin group together. Because we were both at a meeting at which we had literally just about every major wholesaler and most major retailers in Houston all in one place, all coming together. And we've seen the same thing in Dallas. And, I think Jay's done a great job of working with Ali Chikani and the entire group at the Harwin Union Council. They've really helped put all this together into a cohesive unit. And it was really gratifying to sit in a room with about what Jay was at 150 to 200 people, all of whom were contributing, all of whom some of them already contributed to the Hemp Business Council, and all of them coming together and trying to speak with one voice.
Yeah, Jay, if you'd mind coming on that, I just wanted to interject. I did get to see some of that thanks to your friends at Kraft. They streamed that on Instagram, and I was able to watch some of that. That was pretty powerful, Jay.
Thank you. I've been working with the Harwin business leaders in various combinations for the last 5 years to try to bring them together into a like David said, a cohesive unit. And what I realize now, and a lesson I should have learned then, is that had to happen organically for them, by them. And I was able to, I've got a good relationship with the owner of Vape City, which is 350 stores, Mr. Ali Shikani, chairman of the Shikani Group, and the chairman of the Harwin Union Council, the 501c org that represents all of them. What it took to get them all together and talking about compliance as the way they're going to be able to stay in business was the overreach by Dishes after narrowly getting that veto and thinking that things were going to be okay to have it snatched away from them. And I think they realized until they organize and speak together, speak as one voice, and until they are willing to demonstrate their seriousness of preventing some of the bad actors from getting a foothold in the market through the kind of thing that Kraft and Mindful Compliance and the other groups that were doing the work we're doing, until they did that, they would not really feel like they could be assured that they've got a shot at being okay. So we're going to get this injunction, and then everybody's going to have to train their employees, and the brands are going to be certified. And we've got commitments from 15 or 20 brands. The Harwin Union signed a declaration saying that they are going to be in compliance with state laws and best practices as prescribed by Kraft or other groups aligned with ASTM standards. You can't get any stronger than that out of this industry, which has been sort of a wild west since 2019. And now they're showing signs that they've come of age and they're ready to sit down at the table with everybody else and sharing the responsibility.
Rachel Nelson, my co-host, joining us also from Lubbock. I wanted to bring her into the thread and see if she had any commentary or question for our guest or panel.
Yeah, I've been scrolling on Instagram, and one thing I've noticed is store owners talking about how multiple people a day are still coming in asking for flour. So, I hopefully we get the intervention before some people might not even realize flour went away by the time they go back to get more. But I just thought that was interesting that, as plugged in as we are to what's going on in the industry, there's still, a lot of people out there that probably don't even realize they aren't going to be able to get flour. And I talked about the billboards earlier, advertising cannabis in New Mexico. And there's also a lot of billboards of attorneys that are like, call us if you get busted with weed. So it's just interesting to see how far reaching the impacts really are.
Yeah, not everybody informed, except, shows like us. How are raids going? I mean, is that activity kind of gone down in this period since the 31st?
Yeah, honestly, we haven't heard of too many raids in the last week since the rules went into effect. We had heard of numerous raids, including the Treehouse raid, where amazingly, the judge who was reviewing and setting the bond kicked the case back with the state's approval because essentially the paperwork wasn't complete, wasn't compliant, and didn't actually distinguish between THCA and Delta 9. So it was, we've seen a decrease in raids. I'm relatively sure we're going to see some more raids coming up. But, I think right now everyone's kind of holding their breath to see what happens with this injunction.
A couple of Jay Maguire's articles recently contributed in his Substack or on Blaze News talked about the sunset review coming up for this agency. Do either of you have a sense that there may be pressure from the lieutenant governor's side? Is that a real threat, do you guys think? Or maybe, Jay, let me go to you on that. Maybe have David comment on that as well. But is that really a big concern?
I can say some things David can't say. Yes. Listen, what's that?
Or won't say.
Or
won't
he
say,
said.
yeah, because I don't have anything to lose, David. So I'll just take the fall. Look, Dan Patrick, our lieutenant governor, is an immensely powerful public official. The entire Senate was elected. All the Republicans were elected because he funded their campaigns. He handpicked some of those members as the seats have come open over the years, and they are loyal to him because they owe their positions to him. He controls the flow of every motion, whether it's on legislation or can I go to the bathroom, please? You can't be recognized unless he says so. Here's what that means. He rules Bartertown. Have you ever seen Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a pissing match between him and the rest of the legislature and the governor. They have had an accommodation for years and relatively had some friction, but nothing like the rifts that developed over the veto of Senate Bill 3. And so he is determined that he's not going to let this stand. I am absolutely certain that he has a lot of sway, or maybe not command and control, but a lot more authority with DPS than he should. We have one CEO in the state. His name is Greg Abbott. It is not Dan Patrick, but
Right.
The evidence that I looked at in some of the raids I investigated and some of the paperwork I saw, it was very clear. The orders were coming from the east wing of the second floor to DPS, and then those raids were orchestrated basically by Dan. And he told us he was going to do this, guys. His first press conference with that big map of Texas with all those red pins in it, like, I don't know, the Ebola virus spreading across the state. Those pins stood for retail licensees, 8,500 of them. And he said he was going to get rid of them. And that was his method. It was to create a bogus rationale for reefer madness, say we're selling poison, and then send the state police out with bad evidence, cooked lab results, and arrest people. I think that is an incredible abuse of power, and he should be impeached over it. He certainly shouldn't be reelected, but nobody asked me how to vote. I think the guy is not going to give up. It's not in his character. He's going to just hold on to the bitter end, and it's really up to Texans to decide what we're going to do. November is our first opportunity to go to the ballot box, and anybody who uses these products, anyone who sells them or is in the commercial world around it, you got to know, start voting for the other guys.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Podcast 258, Jay Maguire and David Sergi fighting for the hemp industry, as they've both been hard at work working with other members of industry in the litigation process to get this get these products back on shelves. Again, like Jay has said, the rulemaking authority, I think, has been absolutely overstepped. They're redefining the definition of hemp in these rules, and industry members now standing up, got together, filed multiple lawsuits, and talking with us today is one of those attorneys, David Sergi, and then Jay Maguire. These two have worked together before previously with industry in the 2019-2020 case. Where's the timeline on that with Amanda? And that we saw that earlier in January of this year. And was there a deadline for them to make a decision on the previous case being heard?
No, there's absolutely no deadline. It's up to the court. Usually it's, you usually think it's going to be 2 or 3 months. And frankly, most of the time, these decisions are written by the time the clerks leave in middle of July, because, the Supreme Court has law clerks, which are some of the best graduates from some of the best law schools, working for them. And they tend to finish their term the middle of July or beginning of August, and then a new group comes in. And so, my experience has always been that the Supreme Court and the courts of appeals will clear out those decisions by the time the end of the term comes around and by the time these law clerks leave.
Jay, how are things moving along on that federal side? We've seen a lot of activity. There's been some positives there. Just, I thought I'd get your thoughts just as we're kicking this, around on multiple levels here. What any thoughts from you on the federal side? As
I believe that the consensus among all the lobby types and staff people that I talked to in Washington is that we're probably going to get an extension. But the really interesting news, I think, is that the CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, basically authorized the use of CBD in their formulary. So that means basically the federal government will become the largest purchaser of CBD and will be prescribing it for everybody over 65 years old who needs it or wants it. And that's a huge step in the right direction. Now, that doesn't necessarily get us out of the guillotine box for the intoxicating forms of hemp-derived cannabinoids, but one thing at a time.
Well, stay right there, guys. We're going to take another break. We're talking with Jay Maguire and David Sergi. We've got an injunction hearing or a hearing tomorrow on the products that the governor signed. I know all of you are excited to see where this is going to end up. Hopefully we'll have some positive news around 4:20 p.m. tomorrow. Maybe David will have an announcement for us. I'm hoping that thing will get figured out before 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. David and Jay on the other side of Blaze Weekly News. We'll be right back after this.
Sergi and Associates specialize in cannabis and hemp law cases here in Texas. Has your store been raided? Do you require municipal litigation? Seeking to trademark your brand? David Sergi is an international cannabis lawyer, and he represents businesses throughout the cannabis industry. Sergi represents clients across the United States and is regularly quoted on cannabis matters in the media. The new website from his team is txhemplaw.com. If you're new to the Texas market in hemp or cannabis industry, look no further than Sergi and Associates. Their legal team offers a broad range of legal practices, providing cost-effective, top-shelf legal representation with a big firm punch in a personal, small firm environment, specializing in hemp, criminal, business structure law, and civil litigation. Texas hemp laws are always evolving. Call Sergi and Associates at 512-392-5010. That's 512-392-5010. Or visit txhemplaw.com.
Hey, do we have any cold drinks? Something to help us relax would be amazing right now.
After the trail, crack a happy. Bursting with real fruit flavors and real chill. Bring extra. You might make a friend.
I found this happy drink, and so I drank it, and it was really refreshing. But the feel I got was fire.
Welcome back to Blaze Weekly News, podcast number 258 this week. And our conversation continues here with Jay Maguire, David Sergi, talking about a hearing tomorrow. So everybody's excited to hear about what's going on with the industry, and if let the lawyers do what they do in litigation. And I want to thank David and Jay Maguire, both very close to this show, for everything that they're doing, working with the rest of the members, HBC, and everybody's kind of working together here to try to get these products back on shelves to help our veterans, help first responders, help the elderly, and keep these legal products while they're federally legal here in the Lone Star State. So back to the dynamic duo. It's hurt my business, David, to some degree. I mean, we've had, we rely on advertisers. People are very concerned, and so just a major, this is a major industry. It's hard to believe something that, if an energy crisis was out there and it was an $8 billion industry, you wouldn't kill that industry, David. You you would support it, and it just seems unfortunate that we have to get things into the courts because lawmakers are poo-pooing. I'm just trying to poo-poo them on the plant party. This is all we know. Alcohol is interested in this pharma, big pharma. It seems like the fight is really right there under our nose, and who's got the lobby money? Alcohol is and pharma is very organized, David.
Well, I'm going to say this, that we are strong, small but mighty. Having gotten to know J.D. McCormick and Americans for Healthy Alternatives, I see how he is able to squeeze every little penny out of every dollar donated to them across the country. I see what they've just done in Ohio, where in a very similar case, they got an injunction to stop very similar laws. I see how he's worked his rear end off in South Carolina, where I'm involved with another matter, and I see how his lobbying efforts. I also see how Haifa has done a really great job. I see how the national scene is coming together because we have justice and right on our side. We're not just trying to squeeze a little extra money out of it. We're actually here for the veterans, for the elderly, and the people that are real stakeholders. And it's so important to remember that we are here for the common man, which is why it just amazes me that when I went to a little crawfish boil the other night in Austin, from the Hemp Business Council put together, and I literally saw guys in MAGA hats talking to long-haired hippies, talking to everyday businessmen. It's a purple issue, and that's the thing that I think some people just don't understand. And we have so many great players in this industry that in the lobby area, the legal area, the PR area, guys like Jay, guys like Kevin Lampe, who have been doing yeoman's service on the PR side of things, that I'm amazed at how much we're able to do with as little as we have. And now we see the people that are making money out of this, the brands. I'll shout out to 360 Global, which owns Zauer. They have come together. Scott Brown has literally put together a group of people that have pledged, I think it's $200,000 a month on the federal level to get us where we need to be. And I just noticed Craig Katz's organization, Hemp and Kratom, I think it's called. I just posted this. They put a $50,000 fund together for retailers that are having a problem.
I saw that.
It's just amazing how rather than competing, we realize that there is so much in this market that everybody can make good money helping people. And so, and Craig Crafts is a fraternity brother of mine. He didn't even tell me he's doing it. I happened to see it come across my feed. We have all these various people that, are usually in competition with each other that are coming together and working together.
Yeah. I feel like industry deserves a break after such a grueling session in the 89th legislature last year. And then we got the 2 extra sessions, and then we got, the veto, and we've kind of held on with these rulemaking powers. They've extended the marijuana licensing to 12 licenses there, but I feel like the hemp industry, and then losing that in the federal side with Mitch McConnell adding that language, I feel like, man, I feel like we've been in a slugfest, Jay Maguire, but we'll get through this, won't we, Jay?
Oh, sure we will, Russell. I mean, we've got a whole squadron of dedicated advocates who put on their ass kicking shoes every single day and go to war for us. And I'm proud to have been one of them, and I think that David is one of them too. You guys do your part. The people who watch your show and the people who read your publications need to know that those of us who are in this fight are in it to win it, 100%.
Absolutely. Rachel Nelson, you want to contribute anything or thoughts on the conversation so far?
Yeah, I have whiplash, I think, from the whole past year. It feels like it's been 3 years, like packed into 1 year of just back and forth. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what tomorrow brings. So thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for what you guys have all been doing, and I appreciate everybody that watches the show. We gotta stay in this thing and get ready to do it all over again with the 90th legislative session. Jay, what are things people should be getting ready for next year's fight? Any advice for folks on the fundraising side and just getting prepared for the 90th after the midterms here in November? We'll have a whole nother session to go back into the sand and play war with Dan Patrick and the rest of the legislatures next year.
Right. Well, I think the stakeholders in the industry and consumers could do a couple of things. First off, they need to find out, how their representative and senator voted in this last go round. I wouldn't hold a second special session vote against us for Senate Bill 3 against them, because the extraordinary pressure tactics and extortion that Patrick put the members of the House through, threats and bribes and all the whatnot. But the other thing is, join craft, train yourself,
about 7 minutes.
Train your employees. Do that before next session so we can walk into the legislature and tell the committee that we have self-regulated. Everybody knows what the law is. Everybody knows how to sell these products safely. No one is making medical claims. No one is selling counterfeits. And if we do that, I swear to God, we will be okay.
I guess we got about 5 minutes left with you guys, and I want to thank you both for your time. What do viewers, Texans who love cannabis, need to be most active about, David, when it comes to exercising their rights to be heard, especially when, state of grievance is with big government?
Well, I mean, number one, you need to be aware of your rights. Unfortunately, if you get pulled over by law enforcement, make sure that you don't admit to anything. Make sure that you admit that this is hemp. It's legal hemp. Make sure that, to Jay's well-made point, that you let your feelings be known to your legislatures, both the senators, even if that may not be the most successful course of action given our lieutenant governor. Make sure you vote for people that vote for cannabis. I know that in the background, we're in the process of setting up a PAC so we can actually support those that support us, and that we have the money to speak loudly with our legislative agenda. Again, you look at the number of alcohol lobbyists that are out there. You look at the number of medical marijuana guys and the MSOs, and it's amazing that we did as well as we did. And when you look at the community that came together at these hearings, that showed up, we produced hundreds of hours of testimony. And I think that speaks loudly. It may not speak loudly today, but it will have an effect tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody that's gone down there, given testimony. I've given written testimony numerous times, submitted magazines down there for lawmakers. Jay, anything to, just reiterate there on what David's point?
Yeah, I like one of the themes that David's hit on tonight a lot is unity in the industry. And I'm going to be blunt. There's cleavages between the different sectors of the products and the businesses. So, we have had in the past and will not have going forward, I hope, differences between the beverage guys and the gummy guys and the flower guys and the vape guys. And there's been a lot of finger pointing and money being misspent in the wrong direction, going down a rabbit hole that Dan Patrick wanted us to go to, because his agenda benefits when we are at each other's throats. And so please, for the love of God, don't speak ill of a fellow hemp industry business person or another product. Everybody has a chance to get on the highway to compliance, get your products tested, make sure that you're within the law once we get the injunction, and then compete on a fair basis. But I think the era of backbiting and knives out for your friends, that needs to stop. And I applaud David's efforts to get that seat at the table and make sure that the flower sector of the industry is adequately represented. All of our interests are slightly different, but that doesn't mean that Dan Patrick looks at us as being anything but a pack of miscreants he wants to, beat up in public so he can get the style points with his voters. And we should not give it to him.
Well, thank you both for being on the show this week. I'm going to make I want to show viewers our latest issue of the magazine. We had a controversial figure. Hear ye, to bud tend or not to bud tend. Anybody that hasn't seen this month's issue profiled, we did do a profile with Rachel, who's had a relationship with Adam Raposa. Adam is on this weird side where he is kind of known as this notorious attorney who's, bucking the system by giving away flour for folks with the purchase of a T-shirt, albeit how silly that may be. But while rules are in place for those that have permits, then there's this other risk of gamble that a local attorney in Travis County is so certain that law enforcement isn't going to go after him, David. And that's why we had Adam on, because during the midst of no flour, it presents this opportunity for Adam to be exposed, and we took that advantage of that with this story. But I just think it's just kind of an offshoot of the industry in itself when an attorney sells T-shirts.
Yeah.
I just thought, Rachel, I'd get your take on that since you did the interview. And then if the guys want to chime in on Adam's shenanigans, they're welcome to as well.
Yeah, well, you understand what he's doing is a Washington, D.C. style dispensary is what he basically operates, because in Washington, D.C., that's how they skirt around it, is they sell motivational speeches and things like that, and then they just give away the weed for free. And so he's like, why not do that here? And he has been raided, and yet no charges have still been filed. It's been over 2 years. So you're right. It's crazy to see some people just like trying really hard to follow the laws and the regulations, taking the flour off their shelves to avoid consequences. But then you have someone like Adam that it's not even hemp that he's selling. He's selling the real thing,
Yeah,
so it's just pretty interesting. I recommend reading this story.
Yeah, that's the latest
Forward to
edition.
it, Rachel.
That's the latest edition there. Thank you both. Any comment there, David, from David or Jay, as we close?
Look, I've known Adam for years. He's one hell of a good showman. He's a great lawyer, absolutely amazing lawyer. If you have a case that you're just dead to rights on, Adam can probably at least mitigate, if not get you off. However, I really don't appreciate what he's doing in this space, because he's hurting a whole lot more people than he's helping. And at the same time, he's shining a light on what I would call loopholes. And we got to stop being a business of loopholes, and we have to start being a legitimate grown-up business. And that's one of the things that when I first got into this, I remember I told you, Jay, I want to be the adult in the room. I want to mature this industry so that we provide good, clean, safe, well-regulated products to consumers that need it. I don't want to be the guy that's just pushing weed to push weed and make a quick buck. And as much as I love Adam, I think that's what he's doing right now to make a point. And I'm sure I'll hear about what I just said from him. Again, I think he's a great lawyer. I mean, he's the only guy I know that got put into jail for contempt and walked out of jail with a whole lot of new clients that he met in jail that paid him.
I know. He's got a great ad in the new magazine here that says it's a wanted ad, and it's wanted. I want your felony cases. Give me your stabbings. Give me your murders. Give me your armed robbery and lethal assault. I want not guilty is the goal. Anyway. He's quite the character, quite the personality. Jay Maguire, David Sergi, thank you both for being on the show. Good luck tomorrow. Everybody will be kind of biting nails and figuring out for a big announcement in these social apps. What time, David, do you think we will get some kind of announcement?
Probably by 3 o'clock.
Probably by 3 o'clock. So good news for folks early. I was thinking maybe a 4:20 announcement might come, but if you think it's be announced a lot sooner than that, even better.
We're sincerely hoping that we have our temporary injunction hearing on 4/20.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what we need to have to hear exactly, is to have that by 420 or before 420. So that would be great. Thank you both guys for what you do for the industry and fighting for all of us. We appreciate you guys, and we wish you guys good luck tomorrow, David, in court.
Thanks so much, guys. I got to run.
All right, there he goes. That's David
Bye, guys.
Sergi. And yeah, man, we're gonna get him on out of here. And Jay Maguire, thank you, sir, for everything you do and have been doing. We'll see where this thing ends up, man. You got to go before the judge tomorrow, and things get finalized in the first step, and we'll go from there. But thank you, Jay Maguire. Appreciate you, man.
You got it, buddy. Good to see you, Rachel.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
there they go. Rachel Nelson, thank you. Thank you to Dave, Sergi, Jay Maguire, and my producer, Carl, as always. We'll see you soon. Rachel, when are you coming back down here?
Next week.
All right, we'll see you next week, and we will see all of you next week with some good news, hopefully next Thursday. Blaze Weekly News. See you guys.
I got a question about the gift that he gave. It's not giving me the same kind of feeling.